Disney's post-Renaissance era has some of the worst movies I have ever seen, but also some hidden gems. Number 11, Dinosaur. Yeah, Dinosaur isn't one of those hidden gems. Dinosaur is a really boring movie. The characters are so bland that I can't even think of a single personality trait they had. The color scheme is dull, everything is just brown, and it doesn't help that there is barely anything happening in this movie. I generally don't know what else to talk about because nothing interesting happened. This is the most boring movie I've ever seen. Number 10, Chicken Little. Chicken Little is the exact opposite of Dinosaur. A lot of crazy stuff is happening, but none of it makes sense. You'd think that with so much going on, I would love this movie, but no, it's a dumpster fire. The animation is ugly, the story doesn't make sense, and it feels like a ripoff of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Spoiler alert, in Nausicaa, the ending reveals that the giant creatures called Omu are destroying everything because one of their own has been captured and hurt by humans. Nausicaa sacrifices herself to save the injured Omu, which calms the others and stops the destruction. In Chicken Little, the alien parents are tearing the town apart because they think their baby is missing. Once the baby returned, everything calms down, just like in Nausicaa, but Chicken Little does it much worse. I don't like the pop songs in this movie, and for some reason there's a random baseball scene that doesn't add anything to the movie whatsoever. But hey, at least there's a lot happening. Can't believe I'm saying this, but Dinosaur could really learn from Chicken Little. Number 9, Fantasia 2000. Well, another Fantasia movie. I had this problem with the Disney Golden Age video too. Fantasia feels so different from the other movies. It's basically just a classical music illustrated beautifully. It's a masterpiece that deserves respect. But at the same time, it's incomparable to other movies. How can I rank something that feels so episodic, lacking a plot or dialogue compared to a full-length story with dialogue? What I love about movies is the storytelling and the message that they are trying to send out, and Fantasia can't really do this. So this isn't really for me, but I still respect it a lot. Obviously, I couldn't place it below Dinosaur and Chicken Little because I think those movies are trash. I do like Fantasia, and if someone asked me to watch it, I would definitely agree to watch it with them. Unfortunately, I had to place Fantasia 2000 in this position. I feel a little less guilty because the original is superior. Number 8, Treasure Planet. Have you ever seen a movie where the protagonists are so endearing that as you watch them bond, you automatically think, this is so sweet, and you start to like the movie. But then you realize that's the only good thing about the movie, the rest is kind of a mess. I know this movie has a huge fan base, and I can easily see why, but honestly, it's boring. After a while, nothing really happens. And just when you think it's going to get more interesting, an annoying character, the robot, shows up. From that point on, the movie starts falling apart. It doesn't make sense, it feels rushed, and it just gets worse. I really wanted to like this movie, especially because it started off so promising, but it just didn't work for me in the end. Number 7, Home on the Range. I remember seeing the trailer for Home on the Range as a kid thinking, I need to watch this movie. I'm not sure why I felt that way after seeing the trailer. I mean, just look at it. But I wanted to watch it. And guess what? I never did. Until I finally watched it for this video. And after years of longing to watch this movie, I can finally say, yeah, this movie is okay. It's kind of boring. I could have gone my whole life without watching it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this movie. I mean, one of the protagonists is kind of annoying, but like, apart from that, everything is fine. It's just a movie that exists, and after talking about it for a while, I won't think about this movie ever again, unless it somehow appears in another video. Number 6, Bolt. Bolt is actually the first movie on this list I grew up with. I remember thinking it was an okay movie. I mean, fine, I guess. And if I'm honest, I still feel the same way. I've thought this every single time I watched a movie. and I've seen it at least 5 times. Bolt is somewhat a knockoff Toy Story because Bolt thinks he has superpowers just like Buzz thinks he is a space ranger, but neither is true. And obviously Toy Story is the better movie. The characters in Bolt are perfectly fine, and I realized I said that a lot this video. But I think that's how I view this era. The movies that came out are perfectly fine to watch, but there weren't any awesome movies. I mean, there are 4 movies that stand out among the rest, and those are the hidden gems that I was talking about in the beginning of the video. And the rest of the movies are trash or just fine. Number 5, Brother Bear. Oh, Brother. I feel like a lot of people dislike Brother Bear, and yeah, the movie does a lot wrong, and yeah, this is nostalgia speaking, but honestly, the opening is awesome. And you think this is going to be one of the most amazing movies you'll ever see. Okay, that's an exaggeration. But then Kenai turns into a bear, and the movie goes downhill from there. But I still enjoyed it as a kid. Sure, it's full of baby humor, which I liked back then because I basically was a baby myself. Okay, maybe not that, y'all. By far the biggest downfall of the movie is when Kenai tells Koda that he was the one who killed his mother, and they play a Phil Collins song over it. Like, what? This was supposed to be an emotional moment. It's the core of the movie, and they decide to play a Phil Collins song over it? I don't know what to say. That's just horrible. But I mean, aside from that, the characters are fun and charming, the plot isn't too bad, and I'd be lying if I'd say this movie doesn't have a special place in my heart, even though it isn't the best. Number 4, Atlantis the Lost Empire. I love how mysterious Atlantis the Lost Empire is. I mean, you understand what's happening with Milo and his team, but the secrets of Atlantis remain unclear. This keeps you easily invested in the story. The characters are fantastic too. Each one of them has a unique personality, making the film really fun. Milo's fascination with Atlantis and the mystery around it pulls you in immediately and makes you want to keep watching. This movie is more mature than the other Disney films, with humor that is more grown up and some darker moments. Thankfully, it doesn't have annoying characters that mess up the tone, unlike The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Atlantis sticks to the tone it's chosen. And that's great. It's a beautiful film that leaves you full of wonder. Meet the Robinsons. Now, I have a lot to say about this movie because it's truly amazing. When I first watched it, I thought it was going to be terrible. The animation looked horrific, and it reminded me too much of Chicken Little, a movie that I really don't like. But hey, you already knew that. But Meet the Robinsons caught me by surprise. The message in this movie is incredible, and it's handled so well. Louis is an orphan who loves to invent things. His biggest concern has always been why his mom left him at the orphanage. He spent a lot of time thinking about the past, until fate brings him into the future. There he learns that making mistakes is just a part of life. The only thing you can do is learn from them and move forward. Louis is all about moving forward. What the movie does so well is the contrast with its villain, who is the exact opposite. He stayed stuck in the past for too long. Spoiler alert, the bowler hat guy turns out to be Michael, the kid who was in the orphanage with Louis. Because Louis kept him up all night working on his inventions, Michael became extremely tired. Then during a baseball game, he missed the ball. The other kids beat him up for it, and he becomes bitter. After that, it's all Michael can think or talk about, and that's why no one wanted to adopt him. I remember seeing those scenes and thinking, wow, Louis is so selfish for doing this. I can see that when you're overly tired, you become more irritable. It's harder to let things go because minor issues seem like a huge deal when you're exhausted. But when you're not tired anymore, you realize, did I seriously worry about that? But that is something the bowler hat man didn't have. When he wasn't so tired anymore, he still held a grudge towards Louis, blaming him for everything. He stayed in the past. I think the core message of the movie is that if we stay stuck in the past for too long, we miss great opportunities that life has to offer. We keep thinking about the things that have already happened, but the truth is, you can't change the past. The only thing you can do is keep moving forward. Eventually, Lewis is put in a situation where he has to choose between staying in the past or moving forward. When he gets the chance to ask his mom why she left him. Spoiler alert, Lewis chooses not to see his mom. He decides to leave that in the past and move forward. And because of that, he now has the family that he knows and loves. Number 2, Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is one of those movies that's just impossible not to love. The characters are super cute, and the use of watercolors fits so well since they're in Hawaii. And come on, who doesn't want to watch a story about two friends bonding? But this movie is about so much more than that. It's all about family. So we've got Nani and Lilo, who are sisters. Their parents passed away, and now Nani has to step up and take care of Lilo. This change is really tough on Lilo because she doesn't want her sister to suddenly become her mom. But then, this social worker Cobra Bubbles comes by to see if Nani can handle taking care of Lilo. But Lilo is acting out, so he isn't sure if Nani can do it. Luckily, he gives her another chance. Nani and Lilo decide to adopt a dog for some reason, thinking it might help. But the dog is actually an alien experiment literally made for destruction. Of course, they don't know that. Stitch stays close to Lilo because the people trying to capture him can't risk making a move when she's around. And that's where their whole bonding journey starts. Stitch was obviously created with the sole purpose of causing chaos and destruction, but after spending time with Lilo and Nani, he starts to realize maybe there's more to life than just tearing things apart. He begins to understand what family means, and that's when everything starts to change. As crazy as this movie might seem, it's actually beautiful. Watching Lilo, Stitch, and Nani slowly become a family is just heartwarming. And I'd recommend this movie to anyone. And in the number 1 spot, The Emperor's New Groove. You know what upsets me? Every time I ask someone, have you seen The Emperor's New Groove? They're like, no, what's that? Is it like a DreamWorks movie? No, it's not a DreamWorks movie. Is it an Illumination movie? No, of course not. It's a Disney movie, and it's a really good one. So listen up, because I'm going to talk about this masterpiece. Okay, first of all, this movie is hilarious. Second of all of the characters are legends. I mean, Kuzco's character is awesome. He's a complete jerk. Wait, what? I know, but weirdly enough, that's what makes him so amazing. His redemption arc is perfect. What I see in a lot of movies where the main character starts off as a jerk and ends up being the good guy is that they change so drastically throughout the movie that they're not even the same person anymore. The Emperor's New Groove doesn't do that. Kuzco's personality remains the same throughout the entire movie. The only change is that he begins to understand how much impact his actions as an emperor actually have on people. He realized that doing something for someone else is nice and that it's a good thing. Also, Kronk and Yzma are also amazing characters. From their character design to their personalities, they're all written in such a fun and charming way. It makes me laugh every single time. Honestly, if you haven't watched it already, go watch it now. What are you still doing here watching my video? Go watch The Emperor's New Groove. But of course, if you really want to watch another video of mine, you can just click here.